Hello guys, and welcome back to another Minecraft pixel art. I've been putting off the Mega Man ones just because I've been so busy with school, but I'm 2 days into the last week of the first semester and it's looking pretty stress-free from here. So, now that I have time to do these, maybe I can finish off the 2 last Mega Man ones and maybe eventually start the Earthbound ones. But I probably won't start the Earthbound ones because I'm going to be recording another series and uploading it, and I'll probably focus on that for a little while before continuing with the pixel art series. Nonetheless, in this episode we are doing Fireman. Out of any of the Mega Man bosses that I had to face, not kidding, Fireman is probably my hardest one. I have the biggest issue with him. At least I did. I don't play the game too often, but when I did, he was the most annoying character to fight, because he does a shit ton of damage, and in the boss rush, you have to kill him in the middle of killing a bunch of others. And you don't get health in between them, so he was a bitch. He uses pretty much normal colors like the rest, has some orange, red, white, like, they're all very similar in color, except for Iceman. He's probably the most different. So I'm going to build him, and we will evaluate him when he is done. I will be right back. So when I do these sprites, I usually go onto the sprite sheet, take the first idle sprite that I see in the row and do it, but with Fireman it was a little different. Instead, I chose the second one, only because the fire on his head was way more cooler in the second sprite. Because I suppose he has one frame where the fire kind of shoots up a little bit. Like, the fire is still present in the first sprite, it's just not as nice. It just kind of looks short, and it makes him look kind of stupid. So I did the second one where the fire was a little bit more intense. On this sprite, I have to look at the other sprites just to make sure. Yeah, with the other sprites, the red definitely looks good. But as usual, the red appears to be some sort of pink. I'm sure in some games, or in some way, like depending on how you play the game, on what console, in which version you're playing it on, I'm sure the red would look like this anyway. Because I know there are versions of Mega Man where Rush Coil is exactly the same. When you go into Rush Coil's sprite, it's like this pinkish red, but then some sprites, there's the other red. So the red kind of changes. So the sprite I'm using, the red isn't accurate, but I'm sure in some version of his sprite, it is accurate. The orange I wasn't quite sure of, but it works, and it's the same color I used for both Gutsman and Cottonman, so I'm not going to change it. It just kind of looks weird on his sprite. Sand is the sand, same comment I've had for any other sprites, and white and black are pretty much dead on. Don't think I can get any closer there. So yeah, there is Fireman. We have fucking 5 of the Mega Man bosses. Our giant row is looking nice. I might eventually go back and update some of these sprites. Specifically Proto Man. Although, I think Proto Man looks good like that. So, yeah. There's our Mega Man sprite row. One more from Mega Man 1, and then I'm going to move on to Mega Man 2. And, just for your knowledge, I don't plan to change it into a different row, because that'll mean I'll have fucking 10 different rows of Mega Man sprites. When I do the other sprites, I'm literally just going to have the longest row of sprites this world has ever seen. I'm not kidding. There's like bloody 100, probably over 100 sprites. You know, there's 10 Mega Man games, 8 bosses, plus these guys. There's a couple other games I could do. There's probably going to be less. It's probably going to be about, it'll be 80. A little bit more over 80, because I think there's a couple other guys I want to do. I want to do bass and treble, or bass and treble. It's probably bass and treble. Who call them bass? Yeah, I'm going to do bass and treble for Mega Man 7. I have 8-bit sprites from them, from a future game, probably like 8, 9, or 10. There is a Mega Man 10, right? I'm not crazy. I think there is. I can't remember. What other games are there? There's another sprite that I'm going to do. There's the Mega Man Unlimited game. That might take some of the bosses from that. Not sure yet. So this Mega Man pixel art series is going to go on for a while. That's why after the first game of sprites, I'm going to take a break and do Earthbound, because Mega Man sprites are all very similar and it gets kind of boring doing them. So move on to a different game, a different style of sprites. It'll be fun. So if you like this episode, press the like button, comment down in the comments section below what you think of the sprite, and subscribe to my channel, because like I just said, there's a shit ton of sprites I got for this series. So I will see you guys in the next episode, whenever that is.